So I've got good news and bad news. And I'm going to always lead with bad news because it sucks and I want to get it over with. Bad news is we're back to one new Warbond today. The good news is, as anticipated, the Starlancer TAC is going to stay probably for the rest of the event, along with the Guardian MX. And the new one today, which is sort of the good news, because I think I need this one for at least one chain, is the TLDR Gemini. So let's get into what options we have here. That's pretty good, right? Let's see what we have for options. Okay, so some good choices, some bad choices, and some no-goes as well here. So let's start at the top. This is a no-go because it's a limited edition ship, effectively, in the way that they sell it. You got to jump through hoops just to be able to buy it. Let's check it out too, just so you're aware. There is no Warbond CCU. There's no CCU at all. Price history for it. It's like the the F8 that just doesn't have CCUs available. They don't make them available. Period. So you can't upgrade to the ship. So unless you have it somehow, there's no real reason for you to ever have it over here on the left. Next up is a Starfarer. I think it's only had one. So at the $300 mark, we've got a no-go and a not-so-great, and pretty good. The Eclipse comes up quite often. Let's see here. Since the CCU game has been tracking it, it's had 5 or 6 here. So the Eclipse is going to be the best choice here, unless you really want to get out of your scythe. I think that's really the only two options here are the Starfarer and the Eclipse. I think the only real options here are the Starfarer and the Eclipse, but the Eclipse is a far better choice, again, based on past performance. Starfarer is far less likely. I think the Gemini itself has only had a couple, right? 3? Oh, no, it's had quite a few. So the Starfarer Gemini itself has had, well, this is the 5th one since 2021, so that's pretty good. So it's relatively reliable to hit the CCU game anyway. And yeah, I think this isn't right here. This is the choice here. Spend 15 to get a $25 discount on this link in the chain. And let's go through some of this other stuff though, just because. The Paladin is a concept ship, so you don't want it over here on the left, especially when there's only basically $40 difference to play with. The Paladin will probably be a $350 ship. The Paladin is a no-go because it's a concept ship. You, generally speaking, do not want to put a concept ship over here on the left. It's fine to put concept ships on the right. In fact, that's the best way to speculate for price increases, right? To get a larger gap jumped for buying a $5 or $10 Warbond, non-Warbond CCU to a concept. But you'd never want them on the left because effectively it eats up the dollars that you technically get in a discount, and it also may make it so you're paying more than necessary to get from this ship to this ship. For instance, here's an example. If the Paladin goes from a $300 concept to a $335 ship on release, then you would have paid $15 for a $5 CCU. And you would have paid $15 out of pocket right now, not in-store credit, for a $5 in-store credit purchase you could have made at a future date. That is why we don't like concept ships over here on the left. Over on the right, absolutely fine, depending on what you're trying to do with it. If you're just trying to use the concept ship over on the right here for, let's say, Nautilus. So if you wanted to use something like the Nautilus, right, that is still concept pricing. If you didn't get the Warbond for it earlier, you could speculate that the Nautilus is going to go to $750. I am not speculating that. I think it's going to probably be an $825 ship, maybe an $850 ship. We'll see. I think when it goes to production, this might be an $850 ship. Anyway, if you were to speculate and you say, I think that the Nautilus is going to be a $750 ship, and we're looking at something, these are terrible choices. These are all concept ships. Okay, so bad example. Let me find another. Let me find the Vulcan. Is the Vulcan available at least? Okay, good. Whew. Okay, so let's use the Vulcan as a better example, as a concept, right? It's still a concept. I don't think they're working on it. They're working on the gameplay portion of this ship that is not implemented yet. Repair. Effectively, I think that's going to go into crafting, right? So refuel is done. So technically, they could release the Vulcan whenever they wanted because some of the gameplay is there. And let's face it, flying this out to do a refuel would be way better than flying out the Gemini. At least that's my opinion. Much smaller ship, right? But the repair mechanism isn't in, so they're still not working on it. So it's going to be a while till this thing gets released, most likely. And I'm going to guess that it's $250 when it hits production, right? So what you could do with this, if you were just going to use it in a chain, let's say you didn't want the Vulcan as the final ship, you would grab something like the Saber Comet or the Zeus. Let's see here. What's a better way to do this? Let's say you already had a Zeus non-Warbond concept price CCU. So you would get a Saber Comet to Zeus Mark II MR non-Warbond concept pricing CCU for $5, right? 185 to 190, right? And then you would have this as another jump from 190 to 200 for 10 for standard pricing. Again, concept and concept. Both of these are going to increase in price, but that's not going to matter because really what you're doing here is you're locking in a $185 to $200 minimum jump for $15, which is simple math, even for those of low IQ standing. That's equal. Like you're not getting anything out of it. But you know that the Vulcan is going to increase in price, right? So let's say the Vulcan goes to $250. You've effectively jumped from $185 to $250, which is grand total $65, right? So you've done a jump of $65 for a net output of $15. And the best part about it is that can be done with in-store credit when you're talking about concept ships. So effectively, you're getting Warbond pricing discounts without having to spend additional money into the game. So concept pricing is a great way to increase those bridges to cover those gaps for larger change, I suppose. So anytime that there's a concept that comes in, it's good to think about how you might be able to utilize that in some longer chain that goes beyond this, right? So a bare minimum kind of chain I would look at is to do this exact play from basically Saber Comet to the Zeus MR, or I mean, technically because they're both concepts, it's still $15. So you could just go straight from the Saber Comet to the Vulcan. But the way I would do it is I would buy a Saber Comet to Zeus MR separately as a $5 CCU, and then I would buy the Zeus MR to Vulcan as another separate CCU, concept pricing, right? And what I would try and do is if I was going to go to a $260 ship minimum, that's kind of what I would be looking at. So if I was going to go to something like the MSR is at $260, I think. So anything above the MSR, let me double check that pricing. So anything from the, the MSR's less, or is it just not available? It's just not available. Okay. So, but I think I'm pretty sure it's $260 ship. Cool. It's just not available for sale right now. So anything from the Guardian to the MSR to the Warden, you'd be able to hit that with a $10 CCU. If you hit, if you're looking for a $250 ship, that's already out, like the Starlancer Max, and you're trying to use that jump to the Vulcan for that chain, I would not recommend it, because although it may only increase by $35, it may increase by $50, and then you kick it out of being able to use it for that chain, because you can't go $250. You can't buy a CCU from a $250 ship to another $250 ship today. You used to be able to do that. You can no longer do that. In fact, that was the initial that was the first inception for the CCU game, is that you could transfer from one ship to another of the same price just so you could try them out, and you could go back and forth, and they were free. And then they realized, hey, we could monetize this, and then they got suckers like me to jump in on the CCU game. And hey, look at where we are now. So getting back to it, Starfarer Gemini, discount of 25. I think the best bet is the Eclipse, whether you're new or old, unless you already have a Starfarer Warbond that you kind of want to build a chain with for some reason. It's the same price point, so it doesn't much matter. Beyond that, I would say Harbinger is probably your best bet. It's had a couple Warbonds, and the Guardian MX just had one yesterday. Still has one. It's still out. What am I talking about? It's still here. It's right here. See, Guardian MX. So you could use that one too at the 290, but I would still buy the jump from the Guardian MX to the standard Eclipse here, because that's a non-Warbond, right? So it's a standard CCU for in-game credit. So I would do this. If I had bought the Guardian MX Warbond previously, I would just buy this link or wait. Obviously, you want to wait for these standard CCUs until you're ready to commit to the chain and put it all together. Otherwise, there's no point in eating up your in-store credit or spending new money, for that matter, to buy these. So that's what I would do. And then I would go from the Eclipse to this Gemini this way. That's how I would do it. That's it for Warbond CCUs that are new anyway, right? If you missed the Starlancer TAC and Guardian Warbond breakdown yesterday, go back and watch that video. But there are no additional new Warbonds in the store that I've seen. The other changes to the store are minuscule as well. No changes in starter packs that I saw anyway. And standalone ships are basically just adding additional concepts. And I don't know if they actually added any today. I think it's all basically the same stuff. Maybe they added a couple more of these Warbond with weapon kit things. I just don't know. And then add-ons are basically the same as well. You just got the controversy around the blades to go check out if you're interested. They do have modules as well, but they kind of hang around regardless. And nothing new in the pack section. So that's about it. Really just Warbond CCU today, and I really have to get back to work. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. Zi-Tek out.